Okay, guys, let's start this. Good afternoon, everyone. I know this was a short notice for the speaker, but we have a wonderful speaker today. Also, in next time, if we have more speakers that you would like to invite, please let us know. But today is really cool because not only our speaker has an impressive resume in his hand, but also the fact that we are building the plane. So his profession has to do with building the plane. Well, not building the plane, but flying the plane out, which we are doing tomorrow. So he does have a model plane. He was telling me in the basement that has been bought for a long, long time, an untouched model.
Oh my God! I bought him that. Yeah, no, it's a big plane. It's a
big plane.
I'm afraid I'll crash it.
Okay, so let me introduce you by way. Say hello to Mr. Peter Staveley. Say hello. If you didn't recognize, he is Ms. Dr. Judy's husband as well, who is the adjunct in the college here. I won't do justice in describing your education and work background, so I'm going to leave it to you. Our goal for the speaker are two things. One is to kind of show you that they also have gone through this stuff. So when you hear about Navy jet fighter pilots, when you think about F-15s or Blue Angels, you think must be a very, very smart students. They must have gone from high school directly to the academy, or they went to the 4 institutions, got their degree, and that is it, and that's the only people who make it. And our goal is for him to share his personal experience, hopefully truthful experience as well, as to what he has gone through in terms of education, and then how probably that has helped him through his work as well. And his work is impressive. At any point, you're welcome to ask him questions, unless he loses his momentum, he'll let you know. But feel free to interrupt him. And again, he's here to interact with you. So at any point you want to ask him questions that how was that class, how was this class, or what did you do then? Please do ask, because he doesn't know what you want to get from him. Okay? With that, thank you for coming. You can have a seat. You can just sit.
Okay.
This is informal.
Well, thanks for having me. My wife Judy just told me last night, hey, you're going to give a presentation tomorrow. So I'm just here to talk to you guys.
Remind you that you were gone for 3 days.
Yeah, I came home last night after being gone for 3 days, and just like Dr. Raza said, if anybody can do it, I can do it. It was kind of a long road for me. I didn't go to the academy or do any of that stuff. My last year in high school, I goofed off, got bad grades, didn't even get to the state college. I lived up in Rhode Island, and so I went to the community college of Rhode Island, and I did that for 4 years. And then I did state college for 3 years, so that's a total of 7 years of college, just to get my bachelor's degree. I started off liberal arts in community college, and did your basic, the English, public speaking, hated that. Did some basic economics. My first try at calculus, I failed. I got an F. And that kind of ticked me off, and I knew I was pretty good at math, but when I failed calculus, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I went and I retook it, and I went for some extra help, and the second time around, I ended up getting a D in it. And that kind of sparked my interest in math and engineering. So off I went. I took more math classes, took the basic engineering classes. I went 4 years, and I also worked part-time and full-time different times during those 4 years. I worked as a baggage handler for an airline out of Providence Airport. We did everything, serviced the airplanes and threw bags. I was a house painter, lifting heavy equipment. So I did some jobs that were kind of rough, and after doing that for a while, I said, I really don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to go on and get my college degree and do something where I'm either behind a desk or not lifting heavy equipment and stuff. So I saw the people that I was working with, they were in rough shape. So I took all the prerequisites that I needed, and then I transferred into the 4-year college and transferred into the mechanical engineering program. Did that for 3 years, and during that time, I was also flying airplanes. I started flying airplanes when I was about 17. My dad was a UPS driver. On his delivery route, he would deliver to a flight school, and one day he came home with a half-hour introductory flight. I said, "Hey, why don't you try this out?" I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I'll give it a shot." So I went and tried it and loved it. And while I was in college, I was, when I wasn't studying, I was saving up to go fly a little bit more and earn my pilot's license during that time. And towards the end of college, I thought I'm either going to go be an engineer, be a civilian pilot, or maybe join the military. And the engineering seemed like a good idea, but I really liked flying, so that's the direction I went. Civilian pilot at the time, if you wanted to go fly for the major airlines, you had to go fly for the regionals first, fly the commuters around. You do that for a few years, and then go to the major airlines. In order to do that, you need to find somebody with an airplane to get you more hours, kind of a stepping stone approach. I didn't really know any people that had those bigger airplanes, so the military was the easier route for me. I applied to the Navy, went up and took all the tests, the written tests, and anybody went for the physical test, and they check your eyes and check everything over. I waited, I want to say I did that the fall before I graduated. I graduated in the following spring, and I didn't know what I was going to do until about 2 months before I actually graduated. So I graduated 2 months prior to get my letter from the Navy saying, "Congratulations, you're in the flight program." And from that point on, I didn't think about anything besides focusing on going to the Navy. So I had the summer off to goof off, and in October, I drove down to Pensacola, Florida. Started with basic flight training in the Navy, and that was about 4 or 5 months, flying the T-34, which is a single engine with a propeller in the front, and the pilot the student sits up front, the instructor in the back, and you carry the parachute on your back. They taught you all the basic flying stuff, some basic aerobatics where you do loops and rolls and stuff like that. Flying in the weather, and some basic formation flying. Nighttime. At the end of the 4 months, about every month they had a class graduate. Every class had about 12 to 15 students. Of those 12 to 15 students, they would rank order the students, and approximately half the guys would go fly jets, about 25% would fly helicopters, and about 25% would fly propellers, the bigger cargo type airplanes. From there, I selected jets and then went to Meridian, Mississippi. During the time I was flying the primary airplanes, I met Judy. And she's still with me. We went to Meridian, Mississippi. There was nothing in Meridian, Mississippi except for trees and airplanes.
It was painful.
We were there for about a year and a half, a year and 8 months. I flew the T-2, which is out of service now. That was a twin-engine, small jet airplane. Again, doing basic flying, aerobatics, and then you did your first carrier landing and takeoffs. We did about 12 to 15 in a day.
Tell them how dangerous the first airline people die in the first air.
No, let's not tell us that.
You know, that's not the fun part.
All right.
That was the fun part.
I thought it was an interesting
The
part.
fun part was living, yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting part of the career.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a dangerous flying on and off the carrier and just flying
Yeah.
jets in the military was fairly dangerous. You had to pretty much be at 100% every flight. If you didn't, you just called in sick, or if you didn't feel right, you didn't want to fly that day. So it was something that required 100% of your attention. And if you didn't, and you had a mechanical malfunction or get yourself in bad weather, then your odds of surviving it were just less. So anyway, back to the fun part. The landings on the carrier were fun. They were awesome. About a week before we did that, they showed us a video of a guy actually stalling out, flipping over, and crashing into the flight deck. And they said, "This is what you don't want to do, you know." when you hear us tell you to do
Really?
something, you do it. Because they had a guy in the carrier that talks to you while you're landing. So, from there, I went to the TA-4, which is again, another retired airplane. It was a Vietnam era airplane that they converted to trainer. That was another 8 months, still in Marine, Mississippi. Again, landed that in the carrier. And when that was done, when that program was over, we got our wings and we went and selected where we were going, what fleet aircraft we were going to fly, which is your main aircraft that are all in the service. I selected F-18s, which is, if you've ever seen Blue Angels fly, it's the same airplane except it's painted gray instead of blue. Flew that for 4 years. 1 year was out in California, in Orange County, which was real nice.
We lived across the street from Nicole Simpson's burial site while the O.J. Simpson trial was going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Laguna Beach was right down the road, about a mile down the road. Very artsy area, nice beach, nice golf course there.
Guess he wants to move back, huh?
El Toro's closed. Again, another place or thing that I did that is no longer there. But did training out there for just about a year, and the end of all the training culminated in, again, the aircraft carrier training landings, and that was the first time that I landed at night on an aircraft carrier. That's the first time they do the carrier night landings, which, if you've ever seen any studies about night carrier landings and takeoffs, the heart rate of a pilot doing that is higher than a pilot in combat in a lot of instances. It's pretty, I mean, you have to be, on top of it the whole time.
How many of y'all seen Top Gun?
It's an old movie now.
I know, but it's so
We're old
popular.
people now.
Yeah. Actually, I fly for Southwest Airlines now, and I flew with a guy 2 weeks ago. We had a 3-day trip together, and he was a F-14 Tomcat pilot, which was the main airplane in Top Gun. And while he was flying those out in Miramar, California, they were filming the movie, and there's a scene at the end of the movie, and they're at the O Club, and Tom Cruise and all the actors are in their white Navy uniforms, and they're getting cheered on or whatever. And then there's some guys that are in the back with the tan khaki uniforms on, and those are extras that were just regular Navy guys. And he goes, yeah, he's like, they asked us that day if we wanted to go stand in as extras for this movie, and we were like, I wouldn't want to do that. And he goes, all the extras that are staying back there are just like, you know, guys that work on base that just put their khakis on and went. And I'm like, well, he could have been like, he could have been somebody. He could have been a
Top Gun's still around. It's a big thing. It's still a big movie.
Yeah. So anyway, I finished up. That was probably the high point, you know, going through as a student in a fighter and landing on the aircraft carrier during the day and at night. And then we moved to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, and we lived down there for about 3 years. And that was my regular sea tour. You kind of go on a sea rotation and a land rotation every 3 years. And during the sea rotation, you'll do 1 or 2 6-month cruises with some other months on the aircraft carrier in between. So you've gone quite a bit. That's probably the biggest challenge if you're married, have a family, or you know you have a girlfriend or boyfriend back home. Being away for that amount of time, you're doing your flying job, you're doing your other office work, which is something I haven't even talked about. There's, besides the flying, you have 2 or 3 other collateral duties as an officer in the military. So you're doing all that stuff, and then you still have stuff going on at home. You know, kids at school, kids getting sick, the toilet overflowing, the phone calls, plumbing breaking, or you know, minor car accidents, whatever.
Losing your diamond ring.
Yeah, that's right. Her the diamond fell out of her ring
Into our moving.
into some moving material, some packing paper
They had just
in the
moved
garage.
you there.
And so I'm on the carrier, and she contacted me, upset. You know, I lost my diamond, and like, it's okay. We'll get you another one. We'll take care of it. And someone came over and.
No, you found it. You
Oh.
found it when you
Oh,
got back home
okay.
in
That's
moving
right.
material.
Go moving the movie material. I saw
Got
something,
Hulk guys.
and I actually found it.
Yeah, same down here.
So anyway, that was the sea tour.
Well, you got called, in Florida, you got called to Iraq.
Right.
When we were-
During the
we were
6-month
in
cruise, we
Florida.
cruised. We were supposed to cruise through the Mediterranean and have a bunch of cool port visits in Italy and Spain and
Yeah.
Greece and all the
All
fun stuff.
packed up to go to Spain.
And she was ready to come out and visit. You know, a bunch of the wives were going to come out and visit us out there. And then things heated up in Iraq, so we didn't stop at any of those. We went straight to the Persian Gulf
Which nobody knew.
and hung out there for almost 5 months. And then went around through Australia to Pearl Harbor. And then
Around the world.
ended the 6-month cruise we started in Virginia and ended up in California.
I don't think any other squadron or ship has done that, right? Did the around the world cruise?
There's just been a couple, but it was because the carrier was brand new, it was built in Virginia. And we had to deliver it to California, so we took a long way around.
Did you go through the Suez or around?
Yeah, we went through the Suez, and it was pretty cool because they basically put tinfoil around all the airplanes and all the equipment to keep it from the sand to get in, keep the sand out. And when you're going through the canal, if you stand in the middle of the carrier and look out to your left and your right, it looks like you're traveling through sand because you don't see any water on either side of you. And you see a bunch of guys on the hilltops with rifles.
Everybody know where Suez is, right? Suez Canal? Okay. Your geography could be
How
weak.
long was, as a pilot, how long was your service for?
How long was the service for?
Your service for?
Sears going.
Oh,
Count
Sears
that.
School.
Yeah.
Oh, that's about a week.
It was a week?
Yeah, I did that when I was out in El Toro. Well, you have survival school first, which is before primary, and that is about 3 or 4 days total. They basically starve you for 2 of those days. And then SEER school was a week. It starts in San Diego. You have classroom instruction for a day, and then you put you out in the field for 3.5 days. And SEER is survival, evasion, resistance in a state. That's an acronym. So they teach you for a couple of days how to survive, how to live off the land. And it was about 110 degrees during the day, and then it went down to about 60 at night. Pretty big, because we're up in the mountains. So you were cold at night, and you were really hot during the day, and you were starving. And then evasion, the next phase was how to evade enemies, because you're simulated that you've been shot down in enemy territory. And they teach you how to evade, how to basically guide yourself through the land using different techniques, whether it be the sun, the stars.
Can you tell them the graphic stuff?
That's the next part. The resistance is how to resist, if you're captured, how to resist an enemy basically beating the information out of you, and what you can tell them, what you can't tell them, different rules of,
How close was it to G.I. Jane? Where they like break your fingers and...
Well, you got beatings. I mean, you got beatings.
Yeah, they don't break any bones intentionally, but
Accidentally. Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that, sorry.
they slap you around and stuff, and then they put you in some very uncomfortable places, and they just break you down over a period of time.
Can you tell them the uncomfortable places?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Uncomfortable places. Imagine a box that is, well, different size boxes they have to fit your size body, and all these boxes are in this room. It's like a Quonset hut with heaters, and you're put into this box, closed, locked, with a couple little vent holes, and then kind of like left there for a while. And then once in a while they come around and beat on the box and make you shout out your prisoner ID number, just to make sure that you're still awake or alive.
Is it like a standing up type box, or like a lying down, or like a...
You told me it was like a doghouse.
Like that type box, fetal position. Yeah.
That's okay.
You told me it was more like a doghouse. Like you were in.
Well, yeah, like a little coffin kind of. It's just a box and they close the lid on top of it.
Peter, we have only a few minutes because we want to start on the plane activity, and we'd like to join in there as well. So, and if you have any questions as you come along, please do ask. But so, what probably was the most difficult decision you ever made, and what is probably the best advice you can give these guys? Because you went through community college experience as well.
Yeah.
So, most difficult decision and probably the best advice you could give.
The most difficult decision was probably when I graduated with a degree. I could have gone and become an engineer. That was something I kind of wanted to do. It would have been probably a little bit easier lifestyle. I would have been going to the office, making good money, stable job, and progress that way. But to go to the military was something that seemed like it was more fun and more adventurous. So
Maybe the adventure.
yeah, let the adventure begin. So that was probably a difficult decision, just kind of deciding which way I wanted to go. What was the other?
The best advice you could give these guys.
Best advice is not to ever sell yourself short. Don't ever think that you can't do something. When I graduated high school, I really didn't want to go to college. I really didn't like to study. I didn't like to do the work. And it was a little bit tough at first because I was taking these classes and I hated them. Like I said, I failed calculus the first time. And then at some point, it just kind of clicked and I went with it. And if I can do it, you can do it. That's what I like to tell you, really. It's one of those things where,
His persistence.
yeah,
You guys, any questions for him?
you gotta want to do something. And
Any
it doesn't have to
questions?
be flying, it can be anything, it could be a,
She has a question for you.
yeah.
I was trying to remember, you have a master's in aerospace? Is
No, that was
right?
my mistake, so.
Oh.
You probably, can you correct that for me? But
Okay.
that, by the way, that's really interesting. You should share about your one course left because
Yeah.
I'm going to beat him up if he doesn't finish.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
beat him up.
No, I'm going to beat him up. That's different
This
between.
is, yeah.
I think he's probably more scared of his life.
No, not no. After 20 years, the answer is no.
Well, I got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and while I was in the military, I had the GI Bill, and I didn't use it for anything except for a little bit of flight training to get my 737 rating for Southwest Airlines. I had a bunch of time left on it, so I started taking master's classes in aeronautical science, not engineering.
Now,
It was,
do you need that to do like Southwest? You just did it because that was something you were interested in?
well,
No, because I made him.
when I was in the military, it would have helped me for promotion. So I started taking all these classes, and then they kept on going back and forth, but they basically at one point said, we're not going to allow the promotion board to see your higher education. So they actually blocked it off of your record. And I said, well, heck with it. I've got too much other things to do to be taking classes. So I stopped taking them. And then I was like, well, I've only got 3 more classes, and then the thesis or whatever they call it, the term paper thing at the end to do. So I took the other classes, and then when the paper came, I got about halfway through it, and then.
So how many classes do you have left now?
Half a
Well,
paper.
here's the
Half a
problem.
paper.
Well,
Half.
Don't sell yourself short, right? Come back to him now.
He just has his thesis. You just have your thesis.
No, it's
Well,
like half a paper.
here's
It's
another
not
piece
even
of
a
advice.
thesis.
If
It's not
you
even a
let your-
thesis.
I was just,
It's half a
Another
paper.
piece of advice is when you are going to a college, stay enrolled, because if you become unenrolled after whatever the period of time is, 2 or 3 years, you have to reapply into that program. And if they've changed the program, if they've changed the booklet that has all the course listings, you may have to take more classes again. Like the master's degree. I may have to take 4 more classes and then do the paper.
So how was your community college experience?
I had a great experience there. I mean,
Because you went to the 4-year too.
I did 4
So, and
years.
again, we like to be honest here. So how was that experience between the 2-year and the 4-year? Because most of these students will be transferring out. So that's one of the things probably they want to hear from you rather than hear from us, is how to get them ready for the 4-year when they're out there. So what is it like for you to go from the 2-year to the 4-year?
I would say take the prerequisites that are going to help you the most. For example, I think I took calculus. I may have taken calculus 3 in the community college. I could have waited to take it before I transferred, but I decided to take it there because once you start at a 4-year college, your grades start, your GPA is back to a 4.0. So if you have any doubt as to whether you're going to get an A or a C in a class, take it in the community college, because once you leave, your grade doesn't really count for anything. When you go to get hired somewhere, they're going to look at where you graduated from, where you get your bachelor's, and those transcripts are going to be the ones that they're looking at. They're not really, they care where you went to high school and where you went to community college. They want to see your history, but as far as your grades, they're looking at the last thing you did.
where did you go to community college in 4 years?
Rhode Island. Community College of Rhode Island. It used to be called Rhode Island Junior College, but they changed it to CCRI because RIJC stood for reject.
That's
So
normal.
for people like me that got rejected to the four-year college, they changed to CCRI. And then University of Rhode Island is the four-year college for people that can't get into PC and Brown and the big ones. But the engineering program at URI was really good. The classroom size was small. There were only about 20 to, at the most, 20 people in the classes. There were some common classes that we would take. Like one of the hardest classes I could was modern physics. That was a hard class. And that was in a bigger place because, you know, the electrical engineering, chemistry, mechanical, physics, they all took that same class.
Okay, any other question before I have one last question for him? Any questions? Okay, so we are recording you because for those of students who couldn't be here, because there are a lot of students who have classes, and this was a very short notice. So we are hoping those students can watch it as well. We do have a lot of students who are non-traditional in terms of age and also marital status. What's the best advice you can give these guys who have got families at home and saying, you know what, this was rough for me the first year. I don't know if I want to keep on going through another second year. Because you went through the same phase of saying going from, you didn't have to have your master's.
Yeah,
But you chose to now.
Time management, and don't try biting off more than you can chew. If it takes you 3 years to get a 2-year degree, then do it. You're better off doing that than taking too many classes, getting overwhelmed, and then saying, the heck with it, I can't do it.
Oh, you didn't share with them how long it took you to go through community college, did they? Anyone want to take a guess? He was good in calc, he has got an engineering degree, how many years?
5 years.
Oh, he did?
Four
Yeah, you
years.
did say
them.
you did,
No.
yeah.
They were listening to you, weren't they?
Oh, that was the quiz at the end.
Yeah.
So by the way, so that's something you want to keep in mind, that when we have these speakers, who have been so good at what they've done, and, he's honest here, that it took him 4 years. So what?
But
Right.
you didn't get to the point of how competitive it was once you got
Well,
to the military, though.
And when I was in the Navy, when I was going through flight training, I was with guys that were Naval Academy graduates. And right now, I'm in the Air Force Reserves doing Academy Liaison Officer. What I do is I interview high school kids that want to go to the Air Force Academy. And I've interviewed I usually interview about 8 kids in the fall, and I write a recommendation for them. These are the sharpest kids that I've ever come across. They're 4.5 GPAs. They're sports, they're sports, they're the captain of the sports teams. They're in probably 5 different clubs. I don't know how they do it all. And I would say out of those guys and gals, I've only had a handful get in. Those are the numbers. It's crazy. And I didn't know that when I was competing against these guys from the Naval Academy or Air Force Academy. I knew that's where they went, but I didn't know that was that hard to get into. But
you still had to get, like, in training, the distinguished awards. You had to still, you were still
right. I
graded
competed
upon
with
your
them, and
performance.
when I was in the military, I actually beat these guys out for different positions, and I was just a regular public school, state, college guy.
Yeah, I think the best advice is don't sell yourself short. Very
Yeah.
cool, short, to the point, and hopefully all remember. Okay, guys, let's give him a hand because we're going to have him join for. Okay, so we have him because he doesn't know this, because he's going to help us out with the plane building. So let's see how good he is now.
Now his reputation's on stake.
He's pretty good.
So your reputation is on the line now.
Built models a kid.
Okay, guys, so Zach, you want to bring the stuff?
I just went up there to switch rooms because it was depending, I thought we would start at 2 and we had a certain time to end.
Well, why can't we do it here?
We We could.
Yeah, let's bring it here.
Okay, cool.
Let's do it here.
Yeah, all right.
What rank were you in the military? 'Cause you said
Oh,
you
so
were-
what rank were you in the military? So, question. Major.
Major.
Thank you again, thank you. But you're staying, you're not leaving. Okay, Zach, bring the stuff.
It's right there, done.
Okay, bring it over here.
Do you want to move, hey, Rod, do you want to move some of the tables?
Yeah, can you move the table more closer now? Because that way, I don't know what Zach needs, because how he needs us to be.
Spence is in charge of the build.
Spence, where are you?
Spencer.
Okay, how much do we need in terms of the space?
Let's go by, let's do 6 tables.
Okay, guys, can you put 6 tables together for me? Good. Ryan, if you get 6 tables moving together, please. Okay, how about he brings it next time? Tell him to bring it next time.
Yeah, it's a big removal. I think we could use like
Okay, guys, Spence, why don't you tell them what we're doing? Spence, where are you? Spencer? Spencer?
He's right there.
Can you just say vocally what you're doing? Yeah. Okay, guys, so he's going to say what we're going to do, and then hopefully we get this thing done.
Before we start,
Yes.
these are actually my tools.
So break them all.
When you take them out, just be safe with them. Some of